All praises are due to Allah, and may His peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family, and all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. Ameen. My team and I are not affiliated with any political group, any organization, or any movement. These stories are personal. A quick reminder before we start: hit that subscribe button. Ding! It's free. It helps the show grow, and it makes sure you don't miss out on any future episodes. I do appreciate that from you. Thank you so much. Now, in the last episode, I talked about my experience regarding Byron's death and how I had to step up and be a strong role model for my girls so that we could learn together how to continue living our lives without Byron. Well, the mission is accomplished. We did manage to get through it, and we survived the growth endeavors together. Alhamdulillah. Now, also, let me inform you as to why I'm wearing shades. I had cataract surgery this month. The surgery was successful. However, after the cataracts were extracted, it is normal for the eyes to be sensitive to light and the sun. Therefore, that is the reason I'm wearing shades. Now, please note, my eyes are healing nicely, but they are still a bit sensitive to light. It takes about a month for the sensitivity to subside. And all praises and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, my dear listeners, remember that as usual, the remainder of this episode will be in audio only. So please do me a favor, stay tuned, relax yourselves, and enjoy. Thank you. Bismillah. Greetings of peace, everybody. A quick favor before we get started: hit that subscribe button. It's free. It helps the show grow, and it makes sure you don't miss out on any future episodes. And thank you kindly for your support. Now, after Byron's passing, life felt difficult and undefined, but in time, a new chapter began to unfold for me and my two girls. I had to be a strong force for them in order for them to follow my lead when lessons were being articulated, conspicuously and or inconspicuously. For about 2 years or so, we learned to lean on one another in ways we never had done before, because it wasn't just about us surviving our loss. It was about us learning who we were individually and as a family, and what kind of life we could create together if we lived and nothing happened. Now, these were two young women, just like I was at one time in my life. Therefore, I had to use some of the strategies that I would have liked to have had during my upbringing, but that was the past. I still had to use what I knew to mold these two individuals who were totally different from me and each other. Although we were from the same makeup, our personalities, our likes, our desires, and such were different, and that made all of the difference. Case in point, one day, as I was teaching the oldest daughter how to fry chicken, I was giving her step-by-step instructions, following how I fried chicken, and she reversed a step, and I said to her, "No, you have to do this first," or something to that effect. And she said, "Mom, let me do it my way, and at the end I will still have fried chicken." Well, that set me straight, and her chicken was delectable, to say the least. Now, these girls were not going to be followers per se, but they still needed to be taught how to control that desire to be hasty and the let me do it myself syndromes. So I realized that I had my work cut out for me, and they were full-grown teenagers by now. The girls kept pushing forward, balancing school and at times with part time jobs. They were learning how to be responsible and independent. I watched them grow, not just as my daughters, but as young women finding their voices and places in society. We didn't walk that road alone because along the way, new people came into our lives, friends of every kind, each one bringing something meaningful and different, such as laughter, lessons, and fresh energy into our lives and our home. And before long, it felt as if my family had expanded. I accepted their old and their new friends, both young men and young women, as if they were my children from other parents. And our circle of family became warm, lively, and full. I had the responsibility now of leading them in a way that kept them focused and motivated, and at the same time showing them how I could learn from them. It was truly an amazing experience. And this skill was the continuation of my learned skills to be a teacher and a student interchangeably. Alhamdulillah. They all trusted me to the utmost, and so did their parents that I became friends and or associates with. Now, as for me, I allowed myself to live again. I embraced and experienced adult social life, not at all uncontrolled, but enjoyable. It included me locally and on occasion distant traveling, going out, entertaining at home, celebrating life's little successes, participating in activities with the girls and their friends, and soaking up every chance of our ups and downs, our laughters and our sorrows and such. It was lots of fun growing up with my girls, meeting different people, and learning things that I had never known or experienced. Fun, but always good fun. The kind that left memories instead of long-term regrets. Now together, my daughters and I, we stitched together a life that honored the past, but we didn't let our sorrows define us. We grew up side by side, and in those years, we built not only a family, but a community, one that was vibrant, loving, and full of life. You may remember the same way that all of the young people hung out in the houses on Columbia Road and Harvard Street in D.C. when I was young. This is the same way that the young people and my friends hung out in our place in Bethesda, Maryland, and that was nostalgic for me. Alhamdulillah. And I knew exactly how to keep that atmosphere steady. We never locked our door. I could come home sometimes and find my daughters from other mothers there, and perhaps my two girls may not have even been present. But that is how we lived. We kept a nice, safe haven for others. And at one time or another, on separate occasions, we shared our home with a couple of other young girls that were experiencing troubles in their home. But their parents were in compliance. The young people that were in our circle, they learned how to accept constructive criticism as well as to give the same. They learned that the only way to grow is to learn new things that would help to improve their character, their personality, and such. Now I'm going to fast forward because today those ladies are nearing 60 years of age. But those lessons that they admit to me, at times they were key opponents that helped to shape their growth and development. The same is what I went through when I was coming up. Constructive criticism from people who had experienced things that I was intending to do, and I thank God for that. Now, Around that time in 1983, life also brought an old friend back into the picture, Jamal. He had known me and Byron, and he said to me that he remembered how our family lived before Byron's passing, full of love, ups and downs, and a sense of opulence. Jamal didn't have that in his own life, and in his own way, he longed for a family. Now, I'm going to stop here and continue in the next episode if I live and nothing happens. And this, my dear listeners, is still the beginning of my journey from DC to Deen. We're getting close. And I want to thank you all for your visit. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for your thumbs up and your comments. And our reminder for the upcoming week are two reminders. The first one is the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of God be upon him, said, "Whoever helps ease someone in difficulty, Allah will make it easy for him in this world and in the hereafter." And this was narrated by Muslim. And the second reminder will be, worship Allah alone and none other, and invite people towards the truth with wisdom and good instructions. And until next Thursday, my dear audience, inshallah, peace.